I look forward to that. The G7 used to be the G8. Barack Obama and a person named Trudeau didn't want to have Russia in. And I would say that that was a mistake, because I think you wouldn't have a war right now if you had Russia in. And you wouldn't have a war right now if Trump were president 4 years ago. But it didn't work out that way. But it used to be the G8, and now it's, I guess, what's that, 8 years ago, it switched over. They threw Russia out, which I claimed was a very big mistake. Even though I wasn't in politics then, I was very loud about it. It was a mistake in that you spend so much time talking about Russia, and he's no longer at the table, so it makes life more complicated. But you wouldn't have had the war. Other than that, I think we're going to accomplish a lot.
So let me get this straight. Donald Trump is claiming that Obama and Trudeau wouldn't let Russia into the G7, and that was a mistake because if Russia was in the G7, they wouldn't be in a war with Ukraine right now. But the thing is, Russia was literally in the G7, and it was called the G8 until 2014 when Russia was kicked out for invading Ukraine and annexing Crimea. So when Trump says that Russia wouldn't be in a war with Ukraine if they were in the G7, he is literally explaining the reason that they are not currently in the G7. And if this guy's brain wasn't a melted bowl of pudding, he might be able to put 2 and 2 together. And yet, whether he's an idiot or just being purposefully obtuse, what's especially striking is that he views himself as Vladimir Putin's little messenger boy. He trots around the globe advocating for Putin like his assistant. Trump is up Putin's ass the same way all of his little errand boys in the GOP are up his. Everybody's lips are attached to the asses of the strong man they look up to. It's like a fascist human centipede. What's so bizarre here is that Trump swept into office amid promises of enacting an America First agenda, and yet all he's done is suck up to Vladimir Putin. Did we elect Putin's receptionist to run the US government? Why is he whining that some other country that isn't the United States of America isn't represented in an international body that Russia's not a part of? Why is he so focused on serving Putin? Why is he shilling for some foreign dictator instead of serving the interests of the United States? MAGA thought they were getting America first, but apparently that was just right after Russia was taken care of. Trump also goes on to say that the war never would have happened if he was in office in 2022, claiming that the Russia-Ukraine war is Joe Biden's fault. And of course, this is his usual refrain to start blaming something on Joe Biden. But by that same logic, the Iran-Israel war that just broke out is then his fault. He's completely in ownership of it. I would ask then, why did he allow a war to erupt between a nuclear superpower, Israel, and a massively powerful Iran, which may certainly see its nuclear superpower allies of China and Russia play proxy roles in this war? Trump views all foreign wars as the fault of the American president who was in office at the time they broke out. He is the American president in office right now. So by his own logic, he is responsible for this war and whatever comes as the result of it. In fact, the embarrassing moments got even worse from there. It's now been 2 days, and Donald Trump is still butthurt over the fact that the forecast called for rain. Here's the deal. Trump wanted his military parade in Washington, D.C. to be this big display of strength with hundreds of thousands of people cheering him on. He prepared for a crowd of 250,000. Instead, well, this is what they got. I can't feel it. I'm gonna be okay. And of course, nothing is ever dear leader Donald Trump's fault. And so he's decided that the reason there was no crowd was because the weather forecast called for rain, and it ended up not raining. So now he's convinced himself that there was some grand conspiracy by, I guess, big weather to suppress his crowd by wrongly forecasting rain. And he's been saying it literally every day since the parade because he's definitely totally not mad. This was him the day following the parade.
A fantastic audience. It was supposed to rain. They gave it a 100% chance of rain, and it didn't rain at all. It was beautiful. And so I asked if they gave it 100% chance, right? 100% it was going to rain like crazy, and it didn't rain at all. How do they predict 100 years out and 50 years out or 200 years out? They didn't do too well, the weather people, last night, but it was beautiful.
And so clearly, he is fixated on this because he was utterly humiliated in Washington, D.C., and now needs to blame somebody who's not himself. And so the scapegoat now is the weather forecasters who deprived dear leader of his adoring fans and this image that he was so desperate for.
이 땅의 안녕과 번영을 굳건히 수호한 것은 조선노동당이
나는 국기요 주체조선
혁명무력의 영광스러운 역사에
군부들과 군 지휘관들이 조석단에
이지럽고 옥새인 향도의 손길이 없었다면 인민의 삶도 이 조선의 내일도 없을 것입니다.
Yes, if only the weather forecast didn't call for some light rain, this totally would have been the image coming out of DC. Or at least that's what Donald Trump is telling himself and anyone else within earshot, clearly. And look, I do think that Donald Trump deserves some credit because while no one showed up to his parade in DC, he was in a way responsible for roughly 5 million Americans coming out in over 2,000 cities across the country. Yes, it was in opposition to him, but at a very basic level at least, Trump can take some credit for getting some people to show up. In fact, even Gavin Newsom gave Donald Trump some credit. Okay, so maybe not credit, but at least he included a clip of Trump in his montage. The reality is that between his fallout with Elon Musk, his disastrous budget bill that's going to strip healthcare away from 14 million Americans and explode the deficit to the tune of trillions, his failed trade war, his new war between Israel and Iran, his empty military parade in DC, and his sinking poll numbers as a result of all of that, Trump is on a pretty fast downward trajectory. And so it's little surprise that the crash out continues overseas at the G7. What Trump needs is probably a therapist, but he doesn't have that, and so instead, it's the other world leaders who have to listen to him air his grievances. And when he's not around, well, I'm pretty sure I know who they're talking about here.
Nothing official yet. They haven't turned on the microphones, and sometimes you can pick something up in the side conversations.
Before you go, if you enjoyed this content and you want to see more and support independent media, please subscribe to this channel. The subscribe button will be right here on the screen. But second, the reality is that we are now in a political environment where this administration can lean on any of the social media platforms to suppress certain voices if they don't like critical coverage. That means my longevity here is in the hands of a few tech billionaires who are already making it clear that they are willing to cater to this administration. To that end, signing up for my newsletter is a way for me to reach you directly if that ever becomes necessary. I'll put the link right here on the screen as well, so please sign up. It's free, but there's also an option to do a paid subscription if you'd like to support me and my team. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching.